We're going to shift gears to Palestine, where, of course, there's the ongoing genocide in Gaza. I think you could just add the West Bank in there, the ongoing genocide of Palestinian people. And as always, we are very honored to be joined here on the show by Ali Abunimah, who is the director of the Electronic Intifada. Ali, thank you so much for being back with us.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Ali. It's great to have you on. We're now reaching, we're into the third month. We're well into the third month of this genocide on Gaza. And it's just been absolutely horrific to watch. And of course, we're getting to the end of the year. We're getting towards the holidays. And I know the Israelis are hoping people will get complacent, stop paying attention. But we've all continued to pay attention, and the horrors just continue, one atrocity after another. I'm just curious at this point in time, this far into it, what are your general thoughts on what's taking place in Gaza right now?
Well, the first thing I want to echo is what you said, Rania. We can't take our eyes off this. Our friends in Gaza tell us every day that what gives them hope is seeing people out protesting, seeing people making noise, people demanding an immediate end to the genocide. And just yesterday, there's a new poll from Quinnipiac University that shows that support for Israel is continuing to plummet in the United States, particularly among young people, among Democrats, among people of color, particularly African American and Latinos, where support for, or rather opposition to sending U.S. weapons to Israel, the weapons that are being used for this genocide, is overwhelming. 70% of people under 34 do not want U.S. weapons sent to Israel. 60% of Black and Latino people do not want U.S. weapons sent. And a narrow, and more nationally, more Americans do not want the U.S. sending weapons to Israel than support sending weapons. So this is something I haven't seen in my lifetime, is basically majority U.S. public opposition to Israel and its wars. And of course, that means to the policy of the Biden administration, which is full-scale support and participation in this genocide. It could stop the massacres we're seeing. And by the way, some of the worst massacres have happened in the last 24, 48 hours. There is no slowing down by Israel. They are murdering hundreds of people a day. The vast majority of them are actually women and children. And that doesn't mean that the men are somehow fair game. The men are just as deserving, just have as much of a right to life as well. But just to give you a scale, 70% of those Israel are killing are women and children. And this is not slowing down at all. It's utterly horrifying.
Ali, one of the other things that I think is surprising some people, maybe not others, is the military failures essentially by Israel. Obviously they're slaughtering a lot of people, but it seems that the resistance in Gaza, they haven't really been able to make a dent in their ability to fight back. I just wonder how you evaluate that, because it seems like a major military defeat, at least psychologically, to what Israel has always claimed it would be able to do to the Palestinians.
That's exactly right. And it's not something that's getting any coverage in U.S. Mainstream media. But the resistance in Gaza has fought Israel to a standstill. In fact, Israel has not been able to gain control of any part of Gaza. They are able to enter it. The guerrilla army can't stop tanks from entering. But what they have completely stopped them from doing is gaining secure control of any inch of Gaza. And I'll give you an example. 2 days ago, the Israeli military announced that it had achieved, quote, complete operational control over the neighborhood of Jabalia, which is over Jabalia refugee camp, which is in the north of Gaza, east of Gaza City. So this is one of the first areas that Israel entered now almost 2 months ago in terms of the ground war. And just this morning, the Qassam brigades, the military wing of Hamas, published a video, one of its many videos, showing that it easily picked off an Israeli soldier with a sniper in Jabalia. And this is the story across Gaza, north and south, where every day the resistance is publishing videos showing them destroying Israeli tanks, ambushing Israeli soldiers, and sending them home dead or injured. Whereas the Israeli army is only able to publish videos of its soldiers shooting at walls, shooting into empty rooms, shooting at empty school desks, and so on. They have not been able to achieve anything militarily. And this is an extraordinary achievement for the Palestinian resistance when you consider that Gaza has been under such a tight siege for so many years, and Israel is supposedly one of the most powerful armies in the world, and it has the full backing of the world's superpower. And Joe Biden is, just as Barack Obama did in 2014, is airlifting bombs and missiles to Israel to make sure that Israel can continue murdering children. But Israel has nothing to show militarily. They haven't achieved any of their stated goals. And of course, this is a problem because they have climbed so high up the tree in terms of what they said they would do, that climbing down now is extremely difficult, because then they have to admit defeat, which is what this is militarily speaking. Because let me be clear, when it comes to murdering unarmed civilians in their homes, in schools, in hospitals, Israel is the world champion, second to none. I don't say that as a joke, it's the absolute truth. But when it comes to fighting soldier to soldier, face to face, in the field, the Israeli army is a complete failure.
Emphasize over and over again, because Israel is very, like you said, very good. It's very easy to kill civilians. It's very easy to drop bombs on children. They can't fight back. It's a much more different situation when you're not able to achieve anything militarily. And that's what the Israelis are facing, and they're very stuck right now. But Ali, I want to turn to a different aspect of this genocide that I find extremely alarming and disturbing. And that is the gleeful hate that has consumed Israeli society. It's to the extent where they are publicizing their, they're celebrating death regularly. They're enjoying doing what they're doing to Palestinians, and they're posting videos showing it. There's Telegram channels that are glorifying dismembering Palestinians, mutilating Palestinians. You know, it's something that I think is very reminiscent of the, the way the KKK used to behave, and KKK families would behave in the American South. It's incredibly dangerous because there's no red lines. Can you talk a little bit about that aspect of this? It kind of reminds me, and this is not to minimize it, but it's kind of like the kid who enjoys torturing animals or something, but on a societal level and doing it to other human beings.
Yeah, it is extraordinary. I mean, some of the stuff we've seen coming out of Israel in the past couple of months is just utterly deranged beyond anything you can believe. Of course, there are the statements from top leaders calling Palestinians human animals while starving them, cutting off water and medicine, that international human rights groups and experts have said are basically prima facie evidence of genocidal intent. But when you look at the societal level, what makes this so visible is social media. This stuff was always there, but now we see it in a way we didn't before. So, for example, there was the viral song a couple of weeks ago of Israeli children singing for the annihilation of Gaza. These cute angel-faced children singing these utterly blood-curdling lyrics. We see Israelis on Instagram and TikTok celebrating Palestinians being killed, making fun of Palestinians who are being starved. Now, I think that this is, of course, very typical of settler colonial societies. We certainly saw this kind of demonization. There's a whole history. I don't need to go into the whole history of this kind of demonization of Black people in the United States or in South Africa. And in a sense, it is necessary for a settler colonial society because the level of brutality and murder and oppression that is needed to maintain such an unjust and illegitimate society required this kind of dehumanization. And that's why you have all of these propaganda and lies. For example, the absolutely false, and I believe now we can say that it's false, claims of mass rape that were perpetrated by Hamas. Israel has presented no credible evidence of this whatsoever. But these stories serve the same function as the accusation against Emmett Till that justified his murder, and that was always the justification for lynchings of black men. The portrayal of the oppressed group, whether it's Palestinians or black people or people in other parts of the world historically, certainly Native Americans in this continent, who have been demonized, who have been portrayed as brutes, who have been talked about as savages and as animals, in order to facilitate their killing and to make it easy for the members of the dominant group to go out and kill them without remorse and without a conscience. And this is exactly what's happening. But I think what is slightly different about Israel is that it's all so visible on social media, and the fact that I think that Israel is so used to impunity and so used to unquestioning support from so many people that they don't think there's anything wrong with it. They're sometimes shocked when people express shock. But I think this does explain the numbers that I pointed out at the outset of this discussion of why support for Israel is plummeting in the United States to absolutely historically low levels. It's because ordinary people in the United States and around the world, can see Israel in a way Israel apparently can't see itself.
I think that's extraordinarily true, and it makes a lot of sense in terms of how people are seeing things for the first time, perhaps not in history, but because of social media, which leads me to the final thing I wanted to ask you too, Ali, is it feels like one of the other, I mean, it's tragic in many ways, but I think also extremely important is the voices that have come from Gaza that because of social media have been unmediated by, the CNN interviews and all that different types of things. I think so many people, especially young people, have seen this human side of Palestine in a way that the mainstream media has never wanted to bring it out.
That's right. And some of the most articulate and courageous voices are in Gaza right now. We're very proud at the Electronic Intifada that we publish every single day reporting on the ground from colleagues in Gaza. And 4 of our writers have been murdered by Israel since the beginning of this war, which just goes to show how far and wide the impact goes. Those who was murdered, it was my friend Rifat al-Ar'ayan, a friend to many, a wonderful man, a man of great humanity, of learning, who taught hundreds, if not thousands of people in Gaza how to write, how to tell stories, how to do reporting. And many of the writers that we publish are Rifat's students. And Rifat was assassinated by Israel on December 6th because he was a prominent voice on social media and in terms of his writing and doing interviews. He is one of many intellectuals and journalists. Now more than 100 journalists have been targeted and murdered by Israel in Gaza, Palestinian journalists. And they have also targeted university professors, doctors, really everyone who is part of Israel's of Gaza's intellectual and social life as part of this genocide. But those voices continue, and it's our pride and our one of the things that keeps me going is that we are able to publish these voices from Gaza every day.
Well, and I hope anyone who's not following the Electronic Intifada starts right away. Ali Abunimah, director of the Electronic Intifada. Thank you, as always, for giving us some of your time here in the Freedom Side.
Thank you.